off you go nice and slowly.
There are some tricky bends and bridges where you'll need to help the boat around so that you don't hit the stonework and damage your boat.
Should you come to a nasty bend all marked with exclamation marks on the John Norris guide and it looks like it's going wrong, the golden rule of course is to stop using reverse, grab your pole, give the boat a nice gentle push off, making sure you're pushing off from the wall nice and square. Just push off from the wall nice and squarely. Watching that the end of the pole does not get caught underneath the cabin roof or get in contact with obviously the glass windows in the front door. Thank you very much. Not so nice, there's plenty there. And off we go.
Never hold the pole in front of the boat. It's not capable of stopping 10 tons of steel. The pole will either snap, hurt you or damage the boat. Never push off with your hands or feet. And don't try to stop the boat with ropes or poles. Always use the engine in reverse. You can only turn the boat around in winding holes. These are areas of the canal which have been widened to allow you to turn. Turning, if done slowly and logically, is quite simple. Approach very slowly with the boat in the middle of the canal. As the bow reaches the middle of the winding hole, put the tiller all the way across and leave it there. As the boat starts to turn, apply a short burst of power for a couple of seconds to allow the boat to pivot. As the front gets close to the bank, reverse with enough power to stop the boat quickly, then reduce the power to tick over until the back is close to the bank. Then go forward again with another short burst to continue the turn. Never let the rudder go aground, as serious damage would be done. If you find that you haven't turned in the middle of the winding hole, and so you've run aground, then leave the engine in neutral and use the poles. In the tight winding holes, sometimes it's useful to step ashore with the rope and carefully pull the bow around. Don't pull the back around, as you could easily damage the rudder which protrudes beyond the back of the boat. Turning at the canal basin in Brecon is slightly different. The water supply for the canal enters the basin in the top right-hand corner. This flow can be used to help turn your boat. Approach the basin very slowly, and as the bow gets level with the winding area, turn the boat to the right. Reverse in good time, allowing the boat to travel back into the winding area. Then wait for the current to start moving the bow around, and then motor slowly forward. Again, poles can come in very useful. The horn is used at blind corners and at the tunnel. One long single blast is sufficient. The light is only needed for travelling through the tunnel. It's switched from the bottom of the main switch panel at the back of the boat, labelled steaming light. The horn and light only operate with the engine running. You may find it helpful to turn the cabin lights on and close your back doors and hatch to throw some light onto the tunnel walls. The canal is well known for its bridges. Most are low, so it's important not to leave anything on the roof. At these bridges, slow down to tick over speed, and either get ready with the bow thruster, or have a crew member on standby with the short pole at the front of the boat. Bridge 100 is one of the lowest, watch your head, and Bridge 103 has many a scrape on its roof. Avoid adding to these by keeping to the high side. Going downstream is the hardest, as the bow can be knocked left into the low roof. The canal has 5 lift bridges, 4 of which are manual and 1 electric. The electric lift bridge is at Talybont on Usk. The bridge must not be used during school start and finish times, currently between 8 and 8:45, and again from 3:15 to 4 o'clock. Check that there are no cars and close the 2 gates. Insert your British Waterways Board key into the panel and raise the bridge. Take care when steering the boat through, as there's often a nasty crosswind and you'll see where boats have hit the underside of the bridge. Once through, lower the bridge and open the gates. The other lift bridges are manually opened and closed by using your lock handle to wind the mechanism. The rule here is to leave the bridges as you find them. If they're open, leave them open, and if down, wind them up, travel through, and then lower back down again. A lot of customers worry about locks. There's no need, provided they're treated with respect and the simple procedures followed. You might find it helpful to moor before the first lock, walk up to take a look at it and decide who's going to do what. The lock will be empty when you arrive, so stop just before, check that your front doors are closed and drop off a crew member with a lock handle. Drive the boat slowly into the lock, remembering not to travel right to the end as the top gates leak badly and water will cascade onto the front deck. Check that the bottom gate paddles on each gate have been closed. If not, wind them both all the way down. Then close the bottom gates. Walk up to the top gate and wind up one of the ground paddles using the lock handle. Initially, the boat will be pushed backwards by the water coming in. Then after a few seconds, that water will hit the back gates and start to push the boat forwards. Use short bursts of forward and reverse to keep the boat steady. Walk around the lock to the other top ground paddle and open. Don't open both top ground paddles at the same time, as the rapid flow of water will make it hard for the person on the boat to control its position in the lock. When the lock's full, open the top gate. As the boat leaves, close the two top paddles carefully by holding the lock handle and lifting up the locking catch to wind the paddles down. Never let the paddles just drop. On this canal, our locks are always left empty with the bottom gates open and all the paddles down. So unless another boat is coming from the Brecon end of the canal which could use your now full lock, you must drain it back down. So first close the top gate. Walk down to the bottom gates and wind up both paddles to empty the lock. When empty, open both bottom gates. Finally, wind down both bottom gate paddles. Then rejoin your boat or walk up to repeat at the next lock. When returning, it's obviously a similar operation, except you're going downhill and the lock will need filling first. Check that the bottom gate paddles on each gate have been closed. If not, wind them both all the way down. Then close the bottom gates. Walk up to the top gate and wind up the top ground paddles either side of the gate using the lock handle. When the lock's full, open the top gate. Close the two top ground paddles carefully by holding the lock handle and lifting up the locking catch to wind the paddles down. Don't let the paddles just drop. The boat can now come into the lock. Close the top gate. Make sure that the back of the boat has gone past the sill markers. This is the most critical part of lock operation. Walk down to the bottom gates and wind up one of the paddles to start emptying the lock. When the lock is about half empty, wind the other paddle up. When empty, open both bottom gates. Finally, wind down both bottom paddles so that you're leaving the lock as you found it. Don't forget to pick up your crew and check they've got the lock handles with them. The process of filling and draining a lock will take about 20 minutes. You need to allow for this in your planning, remembering that there might be others waiting. A few cautionary notes. Obviously never tie your boat up when in a lock. Don't even loop the rope around a bollard. If you think you've caught the sill, close the two bottom gate paddles immediately and refill the lock using the two ground paddles at the top, until you're clear of the sill. If anyone falls into the lock, close all the paddles immediately to prevent the boat from moving, and use the ladders to rescue them. Don't waste water. Check the paddles are firmly shut. And enter and leave the locks very slowly. You can moor anywhere you like on the towpath side of the canal, except near bridges, on blind bends, along narrow sections where passing could be very tricky, in winding holes, or where it's obviously private.
And when you're at the chosen site, bring the helm over to bring the back in, put it into reverse at the same time. When the boat comes to a gentle halt, ask your crew member to jump off. Just be very careful of doing that. Many have got wet at the time. Bring the boat to a stop using the engine, and then your crew member can pull the boat squarely in from the middle. You can leave the engine clearly in neutral. Wait for the boat to be pulled in. Pull it nicely in. I can then get the stern line. Put it across to the appropriate side of the boat. Take the rope. There's no need to rush now because the boat is fully secure on the centre line. I can then throw this rope ashore. That's okay, and then I can go forward to pick up the mooring pins, which are either located in the gas locker or underneath the rear step, as shown on your handover. Find the 2 mooring pins and a hammer from the gas locker in this boat. As I said, these could be located underneath the bottom step. The mooring pins have tennis balls on the top, so when you knock them into the grass, walkers can see them and won't trip over them. Again, careful stepping ashore. Roughly in line with the front of the boat, if not, say 1 or 2 feet forward. Take your pin, knock it in at a slight 10 or 20 degree angle, all the way down to where the loop starts. I'll show you, if you don't knock them all the way down, and your rope goes through, as you can see, the pin can very easily pull out. Thread the end of the rope through the hole and knock the rest of the pin all the way down. As you can see, the rope here is not long enough to go back to the boat because the boat won't come all the way to the edge because she now runs aground. If you pull it in too tight, you're going to pull the boat up the bank and she won't sit level in the water. To tie off the boat, you need 2 half hitches. Loop the rope over, pass it just through itself like you would do any simple knot, pull down one and do it the second time. Should some of your crew members feel uncomfortable with stepping across the gap, you have a gangplank at the front, and I'll show you now how to put that ashore. The plank is very heavy, so be very careful with it. Slide it out, mind you don't scratch the roof. Take the plank, obviously. Your crew member can help you take the other end. Put it gently ashore, resting the other end on the plates to stop the boat being marked. And then stepping ashore is nice and easy on the plank. Remember, do not put your mooring lines across the towpath and keep the end of the rope nicely away from any tripping hazards. When you're leaving the boat, obviously the boat can be pulled forward and backwards with other boats coming past. So either put your shore plank along the grass edge or slide it very gently, more securely back onto the boat so you can't lose it while you're away going to the shops or for a drink.
Remember to collect the mooring pins and hammer before departing.
Here, mooring pins will not be required because you've got a nice solid edge So again, approach at a very slow speed, back to tick over speed. Remember, don't go into neutral because you lose all your steerage way. Approach at a shallow 10-15 degree angle. When you think the front 1 or 2 feet away from the bank, into neutral gently, into reverse. The boat will come nicely alongside. Step off with the middle line. Let the boat stop, no need to pull hard on the ropes. Once the boat has come to a stop, into neutral, pull in with the middle rope. Line yourself up roughly with a ring, so I'm just going to go gently forward, okay, just going forward a couple of feet with a ring. Let the boat go forward a bit, there we go. Stop her there. I can grab the stern line, making sure it's on the right side of the boat. Step ashore with your stern line, putting it through the ring. Give the boat a tug in. Back onto the boat. Now this is time for a bit of knot tying. Pull the boat in, not too tight, because you don't want to be hard against the wall, otherwise you'll be knocking it all evening. This is what you call now a round turn and 2 half hitches. Take the slack up just a little bit. You always go around the post. That's your round turn. 2 half hitches. The rope could be very long. So what you've got to do is when you pull your first knot through, you haven't got to pull the whole rope through. It's what you can call on a bite. You can see the rope just come through on a double, pulled up tight, and again it's just a loop through, a standard simple knot. But we just happen to call it 2 half hitches. And it's on the bite, so it says you're pulling the whole length through. So when you come to undo it, it's very easily just push through and pull the loop out. Should you not do it on the bite, the other way, it's exactly the same knot for the half hitch, you'll be through, but this time you have to pull all the rope through and then pull the knot up tight. There's 1 hitch, and then you do it again, you pull the rope all the way through. So you see it's the same knot, but it takes a little bit longer because you're having to pull the whole length of the rope through. Again, and tying's a little bit more tedious because you've got to pull the whole rope through the knot each time. So I'll show you the old half hitch on a bite again. So you do the round turn and your 2 half hitches. Keep the rope tight in this one hand so the boat doesn't drift out. Put the rope through very simply, but you're pulling the double length through, and then again. And then obviously, while your crew member still holds on to middle line, you can go to the front, pull the boat in, grab the mooring line. Again, just bring it simply through the ring. And back on to the boat. With again a round turn, and this time some simple figure of 8s, finishing with an around the bottom, nicely secure. Next point, you can throw your middle line back onto the roof, ready for next time.
Please remove the brass tiller and place it inside the cabin overnight or when away from the boat. And do your best to keep the leaves off the boat, as these easily block the water drain holes. Many thanks for taking the time to watch this DVD. When you arrive, we'll show you through your boat and there'll be a chance to answer any questions you may have. You'll then take the helm as we come with you to ensure you're competent in the boat handling skills you've just seen. It's only when you feel completely happy that we'll leave the boat and you can enjoy your holiday.